Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Jamie and today I'm going to be discussing RuPaul's Drag Race. Now, RuPaul's Drag Race, for those people who are not aware, is a reality TV show that has many different contestants competing to be the next drag superstar. RuPaul is a very successful drag queen who was popular in the 80s, the 90s, participated in club culture in the 80s, and started getting national recognition with different advertisers such as CoverGirl and things like that. So what I want to talk about today is what RuPaul's Drag Race has become, because it's been around for around 10 years, 12 seasons, many different spin-offs, and it's created quite a cultural impact. So today I'm going to unpack what has changed over time and maybe talk about what that means in a larger context. So to begin, I wanted to talk about just reality television in general, and that it's fake, and that nothing that we should look from it is believable. It's not how we exist in reality. But it does showcase some elements of truth of the contestants' lives. So it's not just the unfolding of life as we would experience it on a daily basis, but it's manipulated, it has a very specific purpose, and the individual contestants don't really have any choice of what goes on. It's up to the producers and to RuPaul, and other than that, it doesn't really matter. RuPaul sets the stage as the mother figure, and as the mother figure, she takes all these contestants in and puts them under her wing and tries to foster a sense of star power for them to win the competition and to go on and become a social influencer. Throughout the challenges, Ru encourages the contestants to become vulnerable with him and others, to bring their pain into their performance. One would think that's great because it's important to learn from the hardships of life and to make you a better person. But at the same time, the many challenges that go on in the show require the contestants to insult each other on their appearance and on characteristics that are fundamental to who they are, referring to this behavior as fundamental. So going back to some elements of drag or ball culture from the 80s, there's a concept called reading, where you would, or throwing shade. It's basically you saying something as like a slight to someone else on their appearance, making something that's like, making something very obvious at the expense of somebody else. So you'd have people, you know, calling other people fat. One that comes to mind is Jujubee saying, "Oh, you're legendary, more like legs and dairy," saying things like that. And something that is a little messed up about that is, at the same time that you're saying that you're fostering this sense of family, community, sisterhood, you're also making people cut each other down. So it's kind of like this, even though it's reality television, as a human being, it's not good to constantly feel like you belong, you don't belong. And I think it's kind of cruel that you have this group of people who have been judged so heavily by society in the past, and now you're setting them against each other like wolves, and to completely throw away any sense of camaraderie or fellowship to just win a cash prize, which is fine. I don't have a problem with the fact that it exists. I don't have a problem with drag queens. I love drag culture. But what I see is that it went from a phenomena that was low cost, high camp, meaning, you know, it's more about the fun and it's more about uplifting. I went from that to going to something political. You know, I don't believe in separating people based on political ideology, just like I don't believe in separating people on this, like on the basis of skin color, religious belief, all the rest, because I think in an inclusive society, no matter who somebody is, you should at least give them the time of day to express themselves. And as a gay man who lives in New York City, it could be very hard for me to even have a conversation with people about, you know, different elements of things that I participate in too, because I think I, coming from a different standpoint, could shed light on what's going on. So further, it went from this low cost, high camp, so now it's very high cost. You look at the production value, the stage and everything, blah 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 blah, and the camp is much lower. Now it's all like canned tuna. I'm not joking. Everything is a sob story. Everything is trying to expose that vulnerability, and I think it's lost itself really badly. The identity of what it is, I think, because they make it so high stakes, because they make it so intense, you know, that's not what drag is. That's not what drag was before RuPaul made it this way. I've had conversations with people and it's like, well, why can't RuPaul do what he wants with drag or whatever? And it's like, that's fine. I think there are aspects of it where, yes, it's getting national attention and more people are tuning into drag, and I think it'd be nice to have a nightlife flourishing where people, you know, once Corona's over, go out more and participate more in their local communities and supporting local art. But you also have to think, like, drag comes from, you know, the historical context is that these ball cultures were established because you had all these people who felt alienated from the overall culture, and they would be participating in these categories to create a sense of realness for themselves so that in that moment they can feel real. And, you know, I think as a liberatory measure for a community to now become something that is so highly capitalized, like, listen, I don't have any problems with capitalism, but the issue is, like, you're taking something that emerged organically and you're making it a very inorganic thing. And, you know, that makes me call some things into question. So it started, as I said, being high camp, low cost, more about the expression, and, you know, it's on logo. It started off on logo too. So it's like, it's kind of in a gay specific spot. But, you know, now that it's becoming more mainstream, now you're bringing all of the dirty jokes, dirty references, drug references, which to me is what makes it what it is. So it's like, now you have to completely whitewash the content, and what you're left with is like, this isn't what I originally signed up for. This feels like you're trying to manipulate me into believe something. I can't describe how phony it is. I would just recommend you watch the first season and now watch the latest season. And even taking how political it got, the first season of RuPaul's Drag Race, RuPaul himself uses Donald Trump as the image of success in America, and that was like camped up as being what the American dream is. And now you have everyone talking politically anti-Trump. You have different left Congress people coming on. There are many Congress people that are part of the LGBT community, and you know what, they have a really tough time themselves, because to be conservative and gay, and many times your political allies don't support parts of your identity, and I get completely blacklisted from any friendships. I've had people that I'm talking to completely get up and leave. I've had people tell me that I'm crazy, and I'm not. And I just think that, why is it becoming so political, and why is it becoming something so different? And I think we should really question if we still want to participate in watching something that has political motives. You know, I want to know explicitly from the producers, from RuPaul himself, why they support these things, and allow a dialogue within the community to discuss different topics. Because to just pink wash, you know, because I will say that, to just pink wash politics, to just pink wash everything, and to be very politically expedient with what you accept if it pushes your narrative. Like, I also see RuPaul as co-opting many of the non-binary, gender fluid type of talk in society. I studied women's and gender studies in college, so I mean, I will, in other videos that I create, go on at length about my views of gender and how they differ from the views of gender and sex of these particular groups. But you have people talking about how, you know, we should eliminate the binary. So it's like, what does drag mean then? You know, RuPaul has even come out and said that, you know, drag is men trying to pass as women and getting that realness. That's part of the fun, that's part of the camp and the shock value. Now, if gender doesn't exist and there's no such thing as this, as genetics, and there's no such thing as sexual difference, you know, what does that mean for the future of RuPaul's Drag Race? And I think eventually this is all gonna kind of crumble under itself, because the content itself is already phony, because every moment they're trying to extract some sort of vulnerability, exploit some part of one of these queens' life. And on the other hand, I think it's taking itself way too seriously. I think that drag should be about something that's fun, and it should be about expression, and it shouldn't be so inorganically produced to now have, you know, political aspirations. I just want to know why they're doing it, and I would love for people to invite me to discuss about gender, because I have my bachelor's degree. I have been writing about these topics and thinking about these topics, and I would like to challenge some of the things that people are saying nowadays. Anyway, so now I want to talk about this one particular article that I read, because to learn more about RuPaul's Drag Race, I wanted to see who is producing RuPaul's Drag Race. So, you know, RuPaul's Drag Race is produced by World of Wonders Productions. They have worked on titles such as Party Monster, the Shockumentary, and then also the reboot with Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green. They've done the Tammy Faye documentary. They've done a documentary on gay Republicans, which I've not seen yet, and I will see it shortly. But a lot of their content has been trying to take people who are on the margins of society and to showcase them in a positive light. And in this article with Out Magazine, titled Freak Show, World of Wonders, Hollywood's Nuttiest Production Company, producers Randy Barbato and Fenton Bailey discuss what it's like to produce many shows that involve characters some would consider freaks. Fenton Bailey says, look, there are two ways to showcase freaks. You can humiliate and make fun of the freak, put them in situations that exploit them, or you can celebrate the freak. We celebrate the freaks. Now, after reading that, I am sure, because I've seen Party Monster, I've seen Tammy Faye, like I've seen a lot of their work in the past, and I do respect their place in cinematography and in film. I think it's necessary for you to treat people fairly and to kind of capture the humanity and the difference of people. But I think when it comes to the structure of RuPaul's Drag Race, it really falls completely short of that type of ethos. For instance, one thing that I think really kind of disenchanted me with the whole production was their treatment of the drag queen Max. Max was on stage and he needed the corset tight, like loosened or whatever, and then they cut to his top being off, like reciting this piece and doing the editing to make it really shady against him and to make him look like he was absolutely crazy. And once Max saw the final editing and saw the show, he completely disagreed with the way that it was edited and said that the situation was really that they, to make him feel better, asked him to recite something, and you know, they kind of took advantage of him in that moment, and I think that's disgusting. And further with Max, a lot of people in the workroom were being sexual, and he was shown, you know, not really wanting to discuss sexuality and stuff like that, and they made him out to be a weirdo, and they made him out to be weird also because he was religious. And I don't know, I just feel like they really made Max into a fool type of character. And then I think that also segues into who RuPaul is as a business person. I think that he's very smart in his marketing to make it such that, you know, he has this image as being the mother, and you know, he also shows himself as being the villainous mother, smacking the contestants in various ways. But what I was talking about is RuPaul is very smart in his marketing, but he's very cold in his dealings with the queen. I mean, the queens, even looking at Pearl came out in an interview with Hey Queen and was talking about how after the camera stopped rolling, Pearl went up to RuPaul and was like, "Oh my god, RuPaul, I love you and I love your work." And Ru turned to him and said, "Nothing you say matters unless the camera's rolling." And I think that is the perfect spell breaker for everything. And I think Jake Yonsei even said it in his video himself. He said it kind of demystifies everything, and I completely agree. I think the show has gone on way too far with RuPaul being so cutthroat in his approach to representation. Like, if this is queer representation, like, I don't want it. I don't think anyone should want it. I think that it's exploitative. I think it fosters, I mean, this is me in a more philosophical approach, but I think it heightens and inflates the sense of ego and importance. Like, yeah, many of these people are like super talented, but now you're just anyone who's willing to be ambitious and be cutthroat, now they could be a star. When I really think it should be about, look at all the beautiful variants in our communities, and let's showcase what makes them wonderful, and that's it. It's become something that I don't recognize because I've just gone through all the seasons again, and I think it's a real shame that it's lost the humanity. And I think something needs to be done on a cultural level to kind of change that. So that was my rant for today. I hope you like it. Please like, subscribe to my channel, and also comment. Let me know what you think. Let me know what your perspective of all this is. I really hope that we can have a dialogue in the future. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.